When you think of platform fighters with really good character designs, your mind probably goes to Rivals of Aether, a game whose entire brand is built off of cool, interesting characters, and not Ronald McDonald, please. Rivals is way more than Ronald McDonald Workshop. You might also think of Project Plus or HDR, games that take the base game Smash Bros. Characters and lean into the aspects that people like about them in a competitive setting. You may even think about Slap City, that just goes off the walls with their characters to make one of the goofiest and most memorable rosters I've ever seen in a platform fighter. However, there's one niche platform fighter that I feel should be recognized for well-designed plat fighter characters as well, that being Fraymakers. Fraymakers is similar to Smash in the way that its characters all come from already existing games, so unlike Rivals, the characters in Fraymakers are somewhat beholden to their source material, like in Smash Bros. Now, for 2 of the 6 characters in the game, making them work in a platform fighter is not a very impressive feat, but the other 4 are really solid designs in their own right. The easy one to point to is Waltaro, who, coming from a game where you're constantly moving and attacking downwards, thrives by staying above the opponent and managing the ammo in his gun boots. But today, I'm not going to talk about the intricacies of Ultaro, or how Commander Video is the cracked out evolution of the Spacey that gets shine correct in the era of easy to pick up fighting games. No. Today, I want to talk about the Watcher, who I think is nearly perfect plat fighter character design, and how she faithfully represents her source material, while having a fun moveset that promotes thoughtful and interesting gameplay. So, that was a lot of words, and I'll admit, it sounds really pretentious. But, by the end of the video, I hope that this thesis sounds only a little pretentious. The Watcher originates from Slay the Spire, which is not a fighting game or even an action game. So you might be wondering, how faithful is she to her source material? Well, despite being a card game, Slay the Spire has no shortage of places to pull moves from, since the art on her attack cards paint a pretty clear picture of how she fights. So, with some additional animations being pulled from her skills and powers, she's extremely faithful to her source material in the way that her attacks and movements fill in how you would imagine her to fight while traversing your way up the spire. However, if you know Slay the Spire, you'd probably know that the Watcher is probably the least iconic character in the game, being the last character you get and the only character that requires you to beat the game to unlock. The reason that the Watcher was chosen over the other characters was, for one, the fact that she filled a niche not yet represented in the roster, that being a character with sword-like disjoint, and more importantly, the thing that got her in over the ironclad, her unique gimmick. The Watcher's gimmick in Slay the Spire is that she's overpowered. She can switch between 2 primary stances, Calm and Wrath. At its core, Calm doesn't benefit you while you're in it whatsoever, only giving her a boost in energy whenever she exits it. It is, however, tied to more defensive actions like blocking or setting up better turns in the future. Wrath, on the other hand, is a very simple, aggressive stance. While in Wrath, all of your attacks deal double damage, but you also take double damage from enemy attacks. This is amazing for defeating most small enemies, as you can destroy them in a single turn, but against larger enemies you usually can't afford to stay in Wrath for more than 1 turn, or else they'll hit you for massive damage. This is another point towards Calm being more defensive, because you aren't usually being attacked for over 50 damage while you're in Calm, making it a lot easier to block attacks. Coming back to Fraymakers, switching between these 2 stances is front and center in her design, being represented in her down special, Vigilance and Eruption. How these 2 stances are handled are where I think the Watcher's near perfect design shines through. Let's look at the stance you start in when entering the match. Calm. The Calm stance does a very good job at representing its defensive nature in Slay the Spire in a few different ways. First off, the Watcher's full hop in Calm is ridiculous. I'm talking about making it to the top of the spire in a single jump levels of ridiculous. On top of this, she also gets a third, shorter jump that can be used to mix up her movement in the air and prevent her landing from being caught. And, to stop all this from being an absolute Waltaro nightmare, Calm Watcher is also the slowest character in the game, making it difficult for her to approach without committing to an air dash. This combination of being hard to pin down through her aerial landing mix-ups while also not having good horizontal movement makes for an interesting defensive stance that doesn't just increase her weight and lower her damage and movement speed. So, while Calm is represented pretty excellently in this game, Is Wrath represented equally as well? Wrath is the opposite of Calm in a lot of ways. Instead of having a massive jump height with 3 jumps, Wrathwatcher trades that away to have great horizontal speed. On top of this, she's also a fast faller while in Wrath. Uh-oh! Being a fast faller typically grants you better combos since you reach the ground quickly with the trade-off of getting comboed harder. Think Fox in Melee. So, on paper, this is a very, very smart choice. Doing more damage while taking more damage is Wrath's whole shtick, right? Well, unfortunately to those unaware, being a fast faller in Fraymakers is debilitating, as you do not natively have access to any aerial defensive options, so your opponent can basically do whatever they want with you until you reach like 70%. Anyways, taking away her aerial mix-ups and making her easier to combo work to make Wrathwatcher less defensive overall and make her take more damage from each opening. But the question is she rewarded with increased damage and kill power while in Wrath like she is in Slay the Spire? Well, this is where I think the Watcher's design falls off a little bit. Combos while in Wrath are pretty comparable to Calm damage-wise because while she's faster and reaches the ground quicker after aerials, the properties on a lot of her normals change to Send in ways that don't give her longer combo strings, and it's not like she's given a damage buff across all of her normals to compensate. Wrath does have access to a good way to kill that isn't the same in Calm, however, that being through her Wrath neutral special, Through Violence. But even with this neutral special, her kill power while in Wrath is notably worse than in Calm, especially considering that her more reliable combo ender forward air has significantly reduced knockback while in Wrath. So, those are the 2 main stances that Watcher can access, which already make her decently interesting, but the thing that makes it more interesting than just picking the right stance for the right situation is the meter above her health bar that slowly builds up as you land attacks on the opponent. To fully charge this meter, you need to hit the opponent 5 times in both stances. That's right, after all that I was saying about Wrath being underwhelming, you're still required to utilize it to the best of your ability to fully charge this meter. So, once you land 5 attacks on your opponent in Calm, and hopefully get 5 in Wrath before your opponent combos you from 0 to 80, you enter Divinity. Divinity is the Watcher's 3rd stance in Slay the Spire, not being available from the start of the run unlike the other 2. It's difficult to get into, needing to build up 10 mantra or play this to enter. But when you finally get into it, you're rewarded with 3 energy and 3 times damage on all of your attacks for that turn with no downside, making it a powerful win condition. And this is exactly what it is in Fraymakers. When you enter Divinity, you're immediately put on a timer. In that time, you can use 1 newly supercharged special move before it runs out. All of which being changed into a volatile stun move that allows you to land a free combo starter or kill move on connection, which in Neutral Special's case is not a difficult feat. This makes Divinity extremely interesting in the context of Fraymakers because instead of being a general combo boost like it was planned to be, it's effectively a second assist. This gives the Watcher extremely interesting combo routes while she has Divinity, because it basically allows her to combo an assist into another assist. So Divinity is an extremely powerful win condition if you learn to master all of her stances and find ways to switch between them in your general game plan. And that's basically all I wanted to talk about the Watcher's design. I could put a conclusion paragraph right here and call it a day, but since a lot of the games I sized Fraymakers with in the beginning of the video have a competitive focus, and I have a soft spot for competitive metagames, I talked to 2 of the best Watcher players doing it right now to see if the Watcher design holds up at the highest level of competition. So, to see if the Watcher is actually incentivized to use the objectively weaker Wrath even in matchups where it's not ideal, the question is, how important is it to get into Divinity?
It is not really required to use Divinity as Watcher, because Calm stance is far safer, and it doesn't leave her susceptible to getting opened up as easy as if she were in Wrath. However, I like using Divinity as a fear factor. It's essentially a cloud limit where when you know like she has this thing, you get scared that the giant big beam of stun is gonna hit you. So people start playing more defensive and freaking out a bit more, trying to run away from like a potential stun setup. So like if you can somehow make it through getting all 5 hits in Wrath, it's worth it for me at least to try to go for Divinity every once in a while.
I'm gonna be honest, getting into Divinity is more of a novelty than a necessity or win condition, because compared to something like Cloud Limit, where it's like you get it just for playing the game, and it gives you not only buff special moves, but buff stats, so it makes Cloud significantly more threatening, more than just giving him 4 supers. With Divinity, you basically have to go out of your way to achieve it, because it's not active by like just doing enough damage or taking enough damage. The reward for landing it is good, but I'm not gonna say it really facilitates your game plan. Because like, again, Wrath is very situational, it's very high risk, and usually if you fail, back to square one.
After talking to both of them, it's clear to see that while the Watcher's design works pretty well at the casual level, due to how debilitating Wrath is most of the time, her win condition of entering Divinity unfortunately falls apart at the highest level of play. So, in conclusion, the Watcher, while being bound to her origins within a card game and not being the most iconic character within her game, the way her stances incentivize varied gameplay with stance dancing, while also building on the unique mechanics seen within Fraymakers, make her one of the best characters ever designed within the platform fighting space. She does have a pretty hefty flaw in her design when being played at the highest level due to one of her stances being pretty underpowered, but that will hopefully be fixed through future balance patches as the devs keep updating the game. So that's all for this video. But there's a lot of cool things about the Watcher that I could list, like how her design unintentionally made her the most fair and balanced character in Fraymakers, but I'm keeping this video tight for my own sanity. The one fun fact that I'll bring up is that the Watcher specials also follow the motif of horizontal versus vertical within her stances. While in Calm, Watcher's side and up specials reach farther vertically, while in Wrath, her side and up specials have more horizontal control while giving up their vertical reach. And that's just one more thing to love about the Watcher. And since I've said that the Watcher's design was near perfect, I flipped it to 2 of the best Watcher players doing it right now, Daze and Carfin, to talk about what they would change about the Watcher to cap off this video. If you want to know what I'm up to, you can join my Discord, or more importantly, follow me on Blue Sky to keep up with my current Balatro ventures, which I will blame on this video being delayed until the upcoming Fraymakers balance patch became a deadline. Thanks for watching. What would you change about the Watcher, if anything?
That's difficult, because on one hand, Watcher is by far the most undertuned character out of the entire roster, but on the other hand, I feel like she's the kind of character where if you buff like 1 or 2 things a bit too much, she's probably just gonna be really broken. That being said, up smash. That move is garbage. Horrendously slow startup, almost almost half a second. And despite all that startup, it has very underwhelming power. In fact, it's actually weaker than our down smash in Calm, which is really ridiculous. And on top of that, it's over a full second minus on shield. It's to the point where sometimes at low percent, not like you use it, if it hits, you could even be unsafe on hit, which just feels garbage. So yeah, just make that faster, make it stronger. Just do whatever to make it not feel extremely pathetic. Next thing, Nair. Watcher's Nair, very good button. Fastest aerial, does a lot of damage. One of her main combo starters. It kind of just does everything. It's something that definitely needs to be adjusted, but I really don't know how to change it. Down air, simple one. Give Calm down air a sour spot. I don't know why it doesn't have it. That's just kind of stupid, but simple change. Calm neutral B is a very, I will say, very underwhelming. I think the simple change to this would just make it faster, because I think making it faster would actually make it a pretty decent anti-air, which is actually a very weak area for Watcher.
What would you change about the Watcher, if anything?
I do feel like Wrath doesn't need the increase in gravity because she gets so hard punished for a stance that really is worse than her calm stance. And it's not like she's a spacey where she has easy get out of combo options that are frame 1, like a shine or like a fish flex. So it's not really fair to her having to deal with all that extra percentage she's got to take up. And secondly, if there's another thing I'd like to change is definitely Carve Reality Side B. The hitbox is way too small, and it only lasts for a singular frame, and you're put in so much end lag. It is ridiculous. Devs, please do something about it.
Max, please. I know you're watching this video. Please, Max.
Please fix.
On my hands and knees, Max. I'm doing Watcher down, so please, Max.
I am worshipping Card right now.
I'm currently worshipping. I'm currently getting.
I'm currently building mantra.
Please.